Hello and welcome. In French, freestyle is translated as crawl. And to crawl means to pass over your strokes, which is clearly the best way to combine efficacy and efficiency. So we're going to talk about the PowerPoint. We'll also see why S-strokes are a great idea in theory, but a very bad idea to reproduce in practice. But before we start, Titmus won 2 gold medals at the last Olympic Games in Tokyo in the 200 meters and 400 meters freestyle, silver in the 800 meter freestyle, 4 gold medals at the World Championships, and the world record in the 400 meter freestyle in 3:55:38. But to talk about the path of the hand that makes an S in freestyle, we're going to start by talking about the strokes. So how to pass your body over the strokes, which is the best way to accelerate more easily. Because clearly, if you pass here instead of close to the body, you're going to find it much harder to accelerate through the water. It's going to take a lot more power here than there. The first thing to do to accelerate the water more easily by passing over your strokes is to try to engage your arm in front, to engage your shoulder, what I call the forward roll. The idea is to bring your shoulder into contact with your face to dislocate your shoulder and then make it easier for the hollow of your elbow to point downwards so that you can get a good catch far ahead, which will then enable you to accelerate much more water mass towards your feet backwards to move forwards. Putting yourself on edge to the right and to the left will allow you, on the one hand, to reduce water resistance much more than if you were flat, and on the other hand, to have much more amplitude because you can reach out and engage your shoulder much further ahead. And last but not least, it will also enable you to maintain this crawling action to pass over your strokes. Because if you don't pass over your stroke, as I was saying earlier, if you pass your hand here instead of there, vertically over your shoulder, then you're bound to find it much harder to accelerate, or else it's going to require much more muscular power, and so you'll tire much more quickly. What happens after the arm is extended far forward? It's going to be the catch. What do we see in terms of orientation? The hand passes slightly to the outside. Why? To respect the principle of depth of stroke. Because if your hand passes through here, directly over the center of your body, you'll have less depth, and less depth means less hard water, and therefore less propulsion. Then, the second point where she's very strong is when the hand comes back here. You can clearly see the hand has gone outside with the catch, and the hand is really coming back to the vertical of her shoulder. So on the point of power on what I call momentum, because there's the arm, there's the elbow, there's the forearm, there's also the hand. Everything is placed as if it was on a wall to be able to take as much mass of water as possible and send it backwards. And the fact of having the hand exactly here at the vertical of the shoulder is where you have the most muscular power to send the water behind. As I was saying earlier, if you have your hand here instead of vertically over your shoulder, you're going to need more muscle power and it's more tiring. And then, after bringing the hand back to the vertical of the shoulder, not intentionally, the hand will move slightly to the outside, close to the thigh, to clear itself and come back above the water. So the hand creates an S, but the real intention is to push backwards, because if you're trying to make an S, well, action-reaction first, your stroke is going to go to the side. So reaction, you're going to go to the opposite side. Then we're going to come back this way, and then it's going to go the other way again, and so on. Hence this S thing. Okay, the hand makes an S, but the primary intention is really to push in the direction of the feet. Yes, mechanically, we don't have a choice if you really want to make a perfect catch. In terms of mobility, the hand goes to the side, because anatomically, we can't get your hand and arm completely in line with the shoulder's axis, or else you'll be swimming in an I stroke with more depth of stroke, just like the world's best sprinters, who are also the most powerful. So in the end, you could say that it's a good compromise between stroke efficiency, energy saving, muscular strength. And I often say that the catch doesn't have to be perfect, and that's exactly the case here. When you see the side view clearly, you put it in slow motion and you see, okay, there's the elbow, which is higher than the hand, but it's not 100% perfect either, because you can clearly see that the hand and the forearm are here, and they're not quite 90 degrees perpendicular to the surface of the water either, which would be the most efficient way to push water backwards. But you still have to be able to send it all out, and it's a good compromise to be able to pass over the stroke while still taking in a lot of water, but taking in what you can accelerate, because that's really what's important. What can you accelerate today? How deep do we want the strokes to be? And that actually helps define how you catch. Do we catch in a 100% nickel way to really take on a lot of water or a little less? And if we're talking about creating speed, we also need to talk about how to lower and minimize the brakes as much as possible. Quite simply because creating speed is one thing. Maintaining it through efficient gliding, with your arm projecting forward and your body streamlined, is another crucial skill if you want to avoid losing speed. Okay? You accelerate when you pull on the water from the moment you take your catch to the moment you finish pushing with your hand to the thigh. Then you decelerate with your arm in front of you, whatever happens during the aerial return of the other arm. But you have to know how to stay in the best possible position to maintain your speed as effectively and efficiently as possible. And so what we see here with Titmus is that she's able to do this after she's accelerated. She starts to pull to propel herself. She passes her hand vertically over her shoulder, where her other arm enters the water, enabling her to send her arm forward and accelerate her other arm backwards at the same time. In fact, sending the arm forward and really penetrating the water makes it easier for her to accelerate on the other arm underwater. And then she pushes hard towards her feet. The arm penetrates the water and quickly brings the shoulder into contact with the face until the other hand touches the thigh. And then, boom, glide time, aerial return, and so on. Boom, glide time. And this thing about the arm entering the water while the other is at the momentum level when it starts to really intensely create speed, well, it's not always the same for everyone. This means the arm can enter the water when you have completed your catch. That really depends on each person's coordination, and coordination depends on the stroke rate you adopt. She tends to have a higher arm rate over 400 meters, but nothing prevents having, like Thorpe or others, a much more pronounced FGS, meaning a lower stroke rate. So actually, there's less pronounced differentiation between the projectile time and the motor, and a good way to feel that you're creating speed is to try to pass under the water surface, to swim submerged in a way that cancels out what we call wave resistance here. It allows you to become more horizontal. And certainly, if you accelerate harder while submerged, the water will flow much faster over your nape, okay? And then you'll feel that you're gliding. Remember that the key to swimming efficiently isn't just about speed. It's about mastering the balance between power and ease, ensuring every stroke counts without wearing yourself out. Keep practicing and continue refining your technique to swim better and enjoy every step. Speaking of glide effortlessly, I put in the description the link to the Magic Palm exercise with a week of free training. It's clearly the first exercise to do to better pass over your strokes, because if you don't engage your shoulders, of course you can't pass over your hands on the continuation of the stroke. Let me know also in the comments if you have ever felt this passover sensation. On that note, I'll see you soon for another analysis.